and welcome to Crime Bites, the show where we talk about some truly bizarre and disturbing crime cases. My name is Liz, and today is True Crime Tuesday. We're coming up on Easter Sunday, so I've got this amazing headband on today because I literally could not keep it off my head while I was grabbing stuff at Walmart the other day. Anyhow, spring is upon us. How great is that? And this Sunday is Easter. So today I'm going to tell you a story about something terrible that happened on Easter Sunday in 2017. We're going to tell the stories of two men and one woman. But no, it's not what you think. It's way more bizarre and frankly, senseless. Easter Sunday is supposed to be a celebration of rebirth. Many families get together on this day to celebrate, have dinner, maybe an egg hunt if there are kids around. And religious families may celebrate the whole weekend from Good Friday to Easter Sunday, commemorating Jesus' crucifixion to his resurrection and giving thanks for the belief that the Son of God gave his life for them and then rose again so that they can achieve salvation. Anyways, generally happy things. But we're not here to talk about happy things. Let's go to Cleveland, Ohio. Now, Cleveland itself is a really cool city. They've got some cool parks, great restaurants, a zoo, and just an overall good vibe. But first we're going to meet Robert Lee Goodwin. At the time of our story, he is 74 years old. He's a retired foundry worker who was living with his girlfriend Angela, who was 34, and their two sons, Terrell and Martin. Robert also had 8 other children from before he was with Angela. It was a big family, but Ronald did love being a father, and his family loved him. He was described by his son, Robert Goodwin Jr., as being a man who would literally give you the shirt off his back if you needed it. In addition to his 10 children, he also had 14 grandchildren. Talk about a patriarch. Next, we're going to meet Stephen Stevens, and don't even get me started on that name, because I'm going to anyways. His parents gave him pretty much the same name as his last name, but changed the spelling. Like Richie Richard or something, I don't know. At least his full name was Stephen William Stevens, and not something like Stephen Stevens. Anyhow, Stephen Stevens is 37 years old, and life isn't going well for him in a few areas. He did have a good job as a vocational specialist at a behavioral health agency called Breach Brook. Even though he had this good job, he also had a long-term gambling addiction, and he wasn't very lucky. Stevens had gambled himself into quite a bit of debt by the time our story takes place. And finally, we are going to meet Joy Lane. At the time of our story, she is dating Stephen Stevens. Well, more like she's breaking up with Stephen Stevens. They had been dating for around 3 years at this point. She had enough, to put it bluntly. Joy had worked for 11 years at the same company as Stephen, but had recently started a job as a clinical supervisor at a different company. She was also on the adjunct faculty of Cleveland State University, where she helped students pursuing their social work degrees. She had 2 daughters as well, who Stephen was good with, and the two had even considered marriage, but unfortunately, that didn't seem to be in the cards for them. Joy had tried to end the relationship on good terms with Stephen, and the night before Easter that year, Joy had seen Stephen, and he told her that he lost his job and that he had to move out of the state. The two would talk a little more, but then after that, Joy was unable to reach Stephen for the rest of the evening. So now it's Easter Sunday. Robert is at home with Angela and their 2 boys, enjoying a pleasant morning. When Angela decides it's time to cook lunch, the chicken that she makes that Robert loves so much, he decided it would be a good time to go out and collect some cans, which was a hobby he had always enjoyed doing. Not so much because he needed the extra money, but it also helped to clean up the neighborhood and keep him active. So he headed out for a quick loop around the neighborhood. It was a nice day. He called out, "I love you, girl," to Angela as he left. The air was crisp and Robert had a small bag with him that, if he was lucky, would be full by the end of his walk. And he could enjoy a huge plate of home-cooked chicken with his family. He had just started up East 93rd Street in the Glenville neighborhood when a cream-colored Ford Fusion pulled up behind him and a large man got out and walked towards him. It was Steven Stevens, and he did not look happy. Steven calmly walks up to Robert with a gun in his hands and says, "Hi, can you do me a favor? Can you say Joy Lane?" Robert is terrified and confused and can only utter "Joy Lane" before Steven shouts, "She's the reason that all this is about to happen to you." And then he proceeds to shoot Robert in the head. A neighbor would call 911 and Steven would flee the scene. Police made phone contact with him but were unable to get him to turn himself in. So, what triggered Steven to shoot Robert, and why would Joy be the reason why? There's actually a video of this murder because Steven decided to stream it on Facebook. I'm going to play it for you now, but viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Found me somebody I'm about to kill. I'm about to kill this guy right here. Your old dude. Oh, shit. Fuck it. Hi. Can you do me a favor? Can you say Joy Lane?
What?
Can you say Joy Lane?
Joy Lane?
Yeah. She's the reason why this is about to happen to you. How old are you?
Oh, man, look. Hey, look.
So why did this happen? The answer is simply chilling. Steven didn't know Robert, and Robert didn't know Joy. Apparently, he was angry at his mother, Joy, and the way things were going at work. And in a self-proclaimed statement, he snapped. He literally decided to drive around and find someone to kill, and poor Robert just happened to be taking his afternoon walk at the same time. So here is some footage of Stevens explaining himself on Facebook Live.
Yeah, sorry about that, man. Listen, man. Like I said, I killed 13, so I'm working on 14 as we speak. I'm just running around hating motherfuckers, man. I just snapped, man. Fuck. You know, there's some whole shit that I would let a bitch or anybody get me on my hookup. But see, the thing is, man, I'm 37, and all my fucking life, man, I just always been a fucking monster, man. Always had to prove myself, you know, always had to fucking take the butts of people's jokes. And it's like, you know, I'm a case manager for fucking Beach Book. I got my beach, I'm killing niggas with my Beach Book badge on, too. Oh, yeah, Jim Jones, I ain't gonna be able to come to work tomorrow, you know. Yeah. Just killing motherfuckers, man, you know, and all because of this bitch named Joy Lane. You know, she put me in my pushing point, man. You know, I was living over there with her. I just woke up Friday, I just couldn't take it no more, man. I just left. And yeah, here I am, massacring motherfuckers. We call today today is the Easter Sunday Joy Lane Massacre.
As you can see, he's also claiming to have killed 13 more people, but that hasn't been confirmed. There's no evidence of this anywhere. This is just so sad on many levels, but despite this now national blow-up of public insanity, Stephen would be able to evade the police for 2 whole days before someone would recognize him. So 2 days later, a 911 call would come from an Erie, Pennsylvania McDonald's. Stephen had come through to get some food, and the employee at the first window recognized him when he went to pay. Thinking fast, the employee called 911 and then had Stevens pull forward from the second window to wait for his fries, as they sometimes do. I always hate that, but for Steven, his day was going to get a lot worse. Stevens didn't want to stick around to wait for his fries. Maybe he got nervous, but he ended up deciding to just take off with his chicken. However, by the time he got out of McDonald's and onto a nearby road, the police were already behind him. A short pursuit followed, and police were able to get Stevens to bring his car to a stop. It was then he would turn his gun on himself and take his own life. I'm gonna play another quick clip.
But yeah. Everybody keep putting this shit, is that real? That's funny. And again, man, like people saying, is it real? And nobody's taking me for granted for truth and shit, man. That's the crazy part, man. Nobody, I don't know. I'm gonna send another post in a second.
Honestly, this is tragic and just scary to see this seemingly normal guy just unraveling. Facebook also received a ton of criticism and later upped their monitoring practices as a result of this case, because it took them around 2 hours to remove the video from their platform. After his death, a section of the street where he lived most of his adult life was renamed to Robert Goodwin Sr. Way to honor the legacy that he left behind. I will leave you with a quote from Robert's daughter, Tanya. She said, "He taught us about God, he taught us love, forgiveness. Just to know that I will never, ever hear my father's voice again is devastating. We can never replace him, and a part of us died with him." The world is such a crazy place. Well, that's gonna do it for today's story, but I do want to leave you on a more positive note. So, here is a quick bit about a little girl who wanted to spread love on Easter. Last year, Corpus Christi student Vicky got a bunch of Easter baskets that she spent a whole week preparing and even longer fundraising and seeking donations for. And then she donated them to a local program that helps underprivileged children. She said that when she was in 3rd grade, she got an Easter basket from her cousin, and she loved it so much, but felt bad at the same time because some kids don't get any. And then she went and did something about it. Isn't that awesome? Because of Vicky's kindness, some kids got to experience an Easter egg hunt and get a nice little basket that let them know that even in this crazy world, there are still some good people out there. Anyhow, thank you so much for joining me today, and if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. Let me know what you think about today's stories in the comments, and happy Easter to you and your family if you celebrate it, and stay safe out there. Bye!